Hello and welcome back to Adventurous Way. I'm Diana.
And I'm Matt, and today we're here on the property again to share with you some of the things we've learned in the last week about our forest.
Last week we met with a forester. It was actually two foresters, one that just started working at the company. And we walked the land, and they were with us for about 3 hours, and we learned a lot.
Yeah, it was incredibly insightful. Our land is in current use, which basically means that it has been sort of maintained as a forest for the last 10 years. So when we bought the land, we actually were able to see the old forest management plan. That was from about 9 years ago, so it's almost due for renewal. They need doing every 10 years. But that plan had a lot of information in about the types of trees we have, how old they are, and how to kind of maintain and care for the forest. But it was just so good to come and walk the land with a couple of people who just like deep experts in kind of forests in this area. And we just learned so much, didn't we, from that experience?
We identified ironwood. We finally figured out how to identify that.
My big goal for the day was I knew we had American hop hornbeam on the property. And I don't know why I singled that one out as one I was really keen to find. But I hadn't been able to spot it on my own. And so I sort of said to them early on, I want to learn how to identify this and see it. And we did. We found several hop hornbeam or ironwood trees, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. They also showed us some cherry trees. And unfortunately, some of the cherry trees have kind of like some...
It's like a fungus, like a disease,
disease on them, so they will need to come down, eventually.
They will, but the good thing is that the disease is pretty early stage on the ones that we saw with them on this week. And so that means that the trees are still okay for now, but we want to take them down fairly soon. This is soon in like forest terms.
Yes.
Yeah. So within the next couple of years is fine.
Yeah.
I think that one of the big things we really learned is just there's a real diversity in here. So we're standing here at the moment in kind of the softwood stand with all these kind of spruce behind us. This is probably the least healthy part of the forest. These softwoods are a little bit too dense. We looked at some growth rings on some of them, and they're just growing really slowly. From what they are able to tell, the way they are growing, the height and the density of those growth rings says that the soil is really good. They're just competing for the sunlight and competing with each other, and it's not working out well.
Yeah.
But the rest of the forest was actually on the whole pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Good amount of clearing up to do.
We saw some big, tall pines, and they had a tape, which is a
diameter tape.
Diameter tape, where you measure it around, but the notches on the tape, it just tells you what is the diameter of the tree.
Yeah, so they're called pi tapes sometimes. They just divide the normal measurement by pi to tell you from the circumference what the diameter is.
Yeah.
We don't have one of those. We're trying to get hold of one. They're surprisingly hard to find, but we think we found somewhere to get one from. So we're out here today because one of the things we want to do is identify some of the trees that we may need to take down as we clear the land for the driveway, and particularly for the house site, that are larger than a certain diameter. Because two people last week, both the forester and the contractor we spoke to about the driveway, both put us on to the same local person who does milling in this area. We were looking at getting our own sawmill. We would love to be able to mill some of this good lumber. And unfortunately right now there's just such a back order, such a lead time on sawmills. I know Wood-Mizer, for example, is a 6 to 10 month back order time at the moment. There's a couple of other companies with lead times slightly shorter, but they're all estimated shipping dates, so who knows?
Yeah.
But we've been recommended this company. We've spoken to the person who runs it over there. Sounds like it's just a single person just doing it, or maybe a couple, as more of like a hobby than anything else. And it's so affordable. So we're looking at 30 cents a board foot for milling the lumber, which is incredibly cheap, especially given lumber prices as they are today.
Yeah. We still need to get the wood over there.
We need to get the lumber over there. So that would be something that maybe a contractor can help us with, but they will mill it and return it to us. They will take anything, I think 8 to 16 foot long, and minimum of 8-inch diameter at the thin end. So we want to go around today, and particularly on these spruces. So spruce is what we could use for construction lumber. We're probably not going to go through the process of getting all certified and things, so we probably wouldn't use it in the actual construction of the house, but there'll be loads of other projects, everything from like raised beds in the garden to like
compost bins.
Yeah, just all sorts of things where having that kind of like 2x6 type lumber could be really useful. So we're going to go around today and we want to identify all of the spruce trees that we think might have to come out that look healthy, but we think are at least, say, 10 inches in diameter.
Yeah, right now we have no idea of like what is the density of those kind of trees. Like, is it for this, because this spruce stand, it's very, very, I mean, it's quite young and the trees look fairly small. So we have no idea how, would it even be worth it to try to get anything to the mill? Otherwise, we kind of have, I don't know, like a plan or not, but so the trees that can be milled, try to mill them. Slightly smaller trees, maybe like 6 to 8 inch diameter. If they're straight, leave them as to be used as poles.
Yep.
And
particularly the spruces.
Yeah, particularly spruces. And then anything that's 6 inches, maybe slightly smaller, used for firewood. Although
not the spruces.
But not the spruces, right. We don't have that much use for firewood because we're building a house that's going to be all electric. But some for campfires, maybe give away to neighbors or so on. And then anything that's smaller, all the branches, everything will chip. Trying to chip separately the hardwoods and the softwoods, because the softwoods would create much more acidic chips. So we don't want to put them in certain places.
Yeah, they're not necessarily good to like put on plants and things, but they'll be great for putting on the trails.
Yeah.
So we've got more than a mile of trails running throughout the property already, and we've walked those as much as we can already. We've been really enjoying that. They're already pretty overgrown. We need to take the tractor through there with the brush hog when we get that and kind of clear them back. But then if we can start to put some wood chips down, that will really help to define the trails and stop that sort of foliage growing back through, I guess.
Yeah.
The rest of the wood chips, the hardwood wood chips that we get, hopefully we can use those as like a mulch around the garden when we have that. In the meantime, we may just use some of those on the trail as well.
Yeah.
We have an almost endless demand for wood chips if we want to put them on the trail.
But in general, we're trying to get the most use of any trees that we cut down, and hopefully everything will be usable in some way or another.
Yeah, and I'm particularly excited about some of the hardwoods that we're going to be able to cut down and send for milling. We've got some lovely specimens of black cherry. We've got some yellow birch. We've obviously got a lot of maple around here. Got some huge white pines. We identified quite a few white pine trees that were between 22 and 26 inch diameter and tall. I mean, I haven't measured, I don't know what they are. I'm guessing maybe 80 feet tall. Really, really tall trees. And really straight as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a real good opportunity to get some great lumber out of this stuff. Probably thousands and thousands of board feet in total, which is really exciting. The ability to use then all of that hardwood and the softwood as well, the pine, but particularly the hardwood for like furniture and things in the house.
Or like accent walls or anything like that.
Flooring, who knows at this stage. The point is we've got a lot of lumber. We want to see what we can use of it. What we can't use, we'll either chop for firewood or chip to put down on the trails.
Yeah, so now let's find out how much of millable spruce we have. So we marked the trees that were larger than 10-inch diameter with this green tape, and we actually ran out of tape. So I guess that's good. There should be enough trees to make this viable to take it to milling if we decide to do so.
Yeah, so we marked out anything that was 10-inch diameter at breast height, which is kind of a standard measurement for tree size, 4.5 feet off the ground. The idea being that should give us, I would hope, at least 8 inches at the thin end of an 8 or maybe even a 12-foot log. I don't know how much the milling guy would like us to rock up with 30 8-inch spruces. That might not be ideal because that's going to be a lot of work for not a lot of lumber.
But we can ask him.
But we can ask. At least we know what we've got now, and that's the main thing.
And we marked 34 trees, and probably in the area smaller than we would need to cut down.
Yes. I mean, we haven't even touched this side of the road yet. So there's probably 60 plus spruces, all straight as an arrow,
Yeah.
live, at least 10-inch diameter at breast height, just in the area that we need to clear anyway for the house, roughly speaking, let alone anything that we need to clear along the driveway of the hardwoods and everything else. So this feels like a usable amount of lumber to do something with. If we can't get these milled by this person, if it's too many or doesn't want to deal with so many smaller ones, we can look at other options to get these milled. If it's just not worth it, they're too small to mill en masse, which may well be the result. We just need to see. Everyone's so busy right now that it's just going to be a case of seeing what we can find and what to do with them. We can't store them for any period of time. As soon as we cut them, they're going to be in danger of rotting or whatever else. Certainly the ends splitting and things, even if we coat the ends. So I think what we'll try and do is get them milled as soon as possible. If we can't mill them, I think we'll probably just chip them and just be done with them, because we don't want to be storing logs that we can't use later if we do get a sawmill in future.
And what are your thoughts on sawmill in the future?
So I really like the idea of having a sawmill. I'll be honest, the local miller who can do it for or sawyer I should say, who can do it for 30 cents a board foot, I mean, that is so cheap. It makes it really hard to justify having a mill when you think of the maintenance, let alone just the labor of doing it yourself. That said, he is busy. Even if he got our stuff now, it would be a little while before he could mill it or saw it. So I'm leaning towards having a sawmill of our own that we can use for more of the wood, because we've got some beautiful, like I say, yellow birch and black cherry and some others that I would love to kind of get on a mill, that if I could cut them and then start milling them the same day, that would be awesome. But it takes away the urgency if we can get someone to mill these ones now.
We don't have to do it right now.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're up to. So a good day's job getting all of these, well, I say good day's job. Good little job we've done there. Didn't take a day by any means, took us 20 minutes just to go around and flag all of these larger spruces. Things like this are just part of the process in learning about our property. This is somewhere that is brand new to us. We are learning so much every time we visit, and knowing in quantifiable terms what we've got here is really valuable. The last week we have learned so much about the forest, and our forest consultant is still working on drawing up some more plans to give us even more insight about our forest. We are really excited about all the things we're going to learn that we haven't even discovered yet. So join us on this journey. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and we will see you in the next video.
And then maybe we might have a tractor. This is what they sell for the men's workwear. It's very sturdy fabric and, reinforced elbows and so on. And here's what they sell for women. Lace and so flimsy, you're not going to be able to work in this. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed about the options that women have in workwear.